Here's a number that should keep you up at night. 6.5%. That's the percentage of U.S. households that have standby generators. You can't just keep being the guy who installed generators anymore. You've got to be the guy who has the professional showroom, offers financing, has a fleet program that actually making you money when the grid goes down. You've got to be able to sell those customers that it isn't just about power outages. It's about safety. It's about quality of life. It's about being able to work at your home. Welcome to the Standby Generator Podcast, brought to you by Power Alliance. I'm your host, Jim Swetman. Together, we will dive into the world of the standby power business, offering expert insights, industry trends, and actionable strategies to help you grow and scale your generator business. Whether you're looking to optimize your operations, increase profitability, or stay ahead of the curve, this podcast is your go-to resource. So grab a seat and let's power up your business for success. Hello, and thank you for joining this week's Standby Generator Podcast. This is your host, Jim Swetman, and this podcast is dedicated to the 2026 Generac Dealer Conference that we just got back from last week, and oh my gosh, it was absolutely fantastic. Everything that happened there, the dealers that we met, everybody that was there. So let's get right into kind of my summary that I had put together of this Generac Dealer Conference. First, if you were there and you got to see the opening video, that was absolutely crazy. I just happened to have a little bit of sound about how this whole thing got started. It was crazy with the drummers, and being in a room of 3,000 people and seeing all these drummers up there, it was nuts. Here's a little bit of it. The drummers were drumming, all electronic, all AI. It was absolutely crazy. It got you really excited about when they all came on, and I don't know, it was a lot of fun. So I had taped the whole thing. I actually downloaded it on YouTube. But there you go. So it was a lot of fun. But here, what I wanted to talk about is got home, like I said, from the dealer conference. Hopefully everybody's travels were okay, especially with the storms that were going on. I know I was delayed getting here, but really what I wanted to start talking about is the keynote speaker, of course, Aaron Jagdfeld. Now, Aaron, as we all know, Aaron's a smart guy. He's got to stand up there in front of 3,000 people, the dealers, the employees, the vendors, the investors, and deliver a message that works for everybody. That means there's a lot of corporate speak, a lot of high-level strategy, and a lot of what's possible. But you're not running a multi-billion-dollar company like Generac. You're running your standby generator dealership with maybe 5, 10, 30 guys. You've got payroll to make. You've got customers calling, especially after the storm, and you've got installations backed up. So today, I'm going to translate what Aaron said into what actually means for you and your business. Because boy, oh boy, there is some important stuff in there, but you got to read between the lines of what was said. So that's what I want to do here in this podcast, maybe 20, 25 minutes of chatting here. All right, so let's get started with Aaron. And he said right up front that 2025 wasn't great. No major power outages. The market didn't perform as none of us expected, especially some of the numbers that they talked about third and fourth quarter of keeping track of the total outage of hours were substantially down. Now, here's what Aaron can't say on stage, but you and I both know that one, When Generac's numbers are down, that means your numbers are probably down too. Unless you're one of the smart dealers who diversified your revenue streams. If you're sitting there 100% dependent on just new installations from power outages, last year was rough, and that's a problem. My translation, too, from a bad year in 2025, Aaron talked about investing in the future, investing in capacity, staying committed to growth. That's the code for we're not panicking. We're playing the long game, and you should too. If you cut your marketing budget last year because sales were soft, you made a mistake. The dealers who kept marketing through the slow year, they positioned to win in 2026. The last thing on segment 2 here, on the elephant in the room about a bad 2025, Aaron said this: 2026 is our year. You know what that tells me. He's expecting weather. He's expecting outages. The meteorologists, the grid experts, the folks who brief Generac leadership, they're seeing something. I can't tell you what it is, but when Aaron puts chips on the table for 2026, you better be ready too. Here, another thing. These are all notes that I took here at the conference, during the conference, on the ride home from the plane, and this weekend put together. So here I had a chance to put together a whole bunch of things. So another thing, I got these in different segments. Segment 3 here is the 6.5% problem. All right, here's a number that should keep you up at night. 6.5%. That's the percentage of U.S. households that have standby generators. Aaron mentioned it. He said, well, Michigan has 17%, Florida 6%, Texas 6%, California, Maine is like 20%. Now, when Aaron looks at that number, he sees opportunity. He sees 93.5% of the market untapped. But here's what Aaron didn't say that you need to understand as a dealer. My translation, 1. That 6.5% number means Generac is going to keep adding dealers. They're at about 9,200 residential dealers now. That number is going to go up. It's probably closer to 10,000 right now, which means more competition in your market. You've seen it. I've seen it. Your neighbor, who's an electrician, just became a Generac dealer last month. So how do you compete? Aaron talked about scale and sophistication. Let me translate this. You can't just keep being the guy who installed generators anymore. You've got to be the guy who has the professional showroom, offers financing, has a fleet program that actually making you money. Fleet, as we know, is the monitoring of your existing generators that are out there. And that you, as a dealer, as a business owner, can articulate the value beyond just power when the grid goes down. You got to be able to sell those customers that it isn't just about power outages. It's about safety. It's about quality of life. It's about being able to work at your home. You have to be able to articulate that. Aaron talked about using scale to drive awareness. That's great for Generac, but what does it mean for you as a standby dealer? It means you need to ride that wave. When Generac spends millions on national advertising, you need to be the dealer who captures that awareness in your local market. You need to be aggressive with your local marketing because that 6.5% is going to grow, with or without you. This episode of the Standby Generator Podcast is proudly presented by Power Alliance, the only mastermind community built specifically for standby generator dealers. At Power Alliance, we believe growth happens faster when you're connected. That's why we bring together like-minded dealers across the country to share real-world insights, solve challenges, and accelerate business success together. From streamlining operations to scaling your service division, Power Alliance gives you the tools, support, and community to take your business to the next level. Learn more and join the movement at www.poweralliance.com. Another thing, let's talk about the ecosystem play. A lot talked about the ecosystem and what exactly does that mean? Now, Aaron spent a lot of time talking about the home energy ecosystem. Generators plus batteries plus solar plus monitoring plus the generators building a microgrid for homeowners. And I got to be honest with you, when I heard this, my first thought was, Aaron, that sounds expensive and complicated. How's it going to work for my average customer? But then I started thinking about it, and here's what I think it really means. So this is my translation. Generac knows that the pure generator business has a ceiling. Once you hit that 6.5% or 10% or 15% penetration growth is going to slow down. And what does that mean for you as the standby generator dealer? That Generac knows the pure generator business has a ceiling. Now, that means you need to start selling solar panels tomorrow? No. But here's what it does mean. For smaller dealers, let's just say you're a smaller dealer, and I'm saying that if you're under $2 million, stay in your lane. Be the best generator installer and service provider in your market. Let the bigger dealers mess with the batteries and solar for now. Your customer just wants power when the grid goes down. Give that to them. Be better than anyone else, and you'll win. If you're a mid-sized dealer, say between $2 and $5 million, start paying attention to batteries. The PowerCell 2 can be an upsell for your premium customers. The guy with the $1.2 million house who cares about his wine cellar in his home theater, he might care about seamless transition between outage and when the generator kicks in. That battery conversion could add another 10 to 15,000 to your average sale. Think about it. For you larger dealer, I'm just throwing a number out there from what I see is 5 million plus. Yeah, you probably need to start thinking about the full ecosystem. Your commercial customers especially. They're hearing the messaging. You can't provide it. If you can't provide it, someone else will. Aaron mentioned that there's least price-sensitive customers want the ecosystem. Pay attention to that. He's not saying sell ecosystems to everyone. He's saying your high-end customers are the target. If you're installing a $15,000, $18,000, $19,000 generator, you can have an ecosystem conversion that turns that into a $35,000 project. Maybe you got to know your customers. Segment 5 that I have here, again at the 2026 Generac Dealer Conference, takeaways from that, is what I call the C&I gold rush, or the commercial and industrial generator gold rush. Aaron talked about the C&I business, commercial and industrial. He mentioned data centers, AI infrastructure, cloud computing, these massive projects. He said Generac is going all in on C&I in 2026. Now, most of you listening to this are residential dealers, so you might be thinking, that doesn't apply to me at all. But here's what Aaron didn't say that I think matters. My translation, when Generac goes all in on C&I, that means resources get shifted, sales support, engineering, inventory allocation, it all allows flow to where the big money is. What does that mean for you as a residential standby dealer? There might be an opportunity here. Think about this for a second. Every data center being built has office buildings nearby, has housing developments, has infrastructure. Those projects need power too, and you're in the market. So when you see construction happening, data centers, distribution facilities, manufacturing plants, that's your cue to get aggressive with commercial outreach if you have the capabilities of doing that. You might not be able to land the data center project, but you can probably get the electrical contractor that's doing some of these larger projects to maybe buy a generator from you, and you do the commissioning and starting, and you've got the maintenance on that. You can probably get the office park next door. Think downstream from some of the other projects. Make C&I strategy relevant to you as a Generac dealer. Another message I hear, I call this segment 6, is the fleet message. Aaron said something that made my ears perk up, and he said, if you went through last year without fleet, you struggled. If you had fleet, you had 90% better than anybody else. Fleet, as we know, is the monitoring of the generators that you had put in. What he said, I think, was not a suggestion, it's a directive. Fleet is the answer. My translation, maintenance contracts are no longer optional. They're not just nice to have, they're the thing that's going to stabilize your revenue. And when install sales drop like they did in 2025, you're going to wish you had the fleet program that you have. If you're not aggressively signing up every customer for maintenance, 1 year, 2 year, 3 year prepaid contracts, you're building your business on a shaky foundation. And here's the thing Aaron didn't emphasize enough that I saw. Your maintenance customers are your best referral source. They're the ones who tell their neighbors about you when the power goes out, and they're there to help you sell your business, and they do the marketing for you. And this is another thing about what Aaron couldn't say. All right, so let's talk about the stuff that Aaron can't say on stage because he's the CEO of a public company. It was funny. I've been to these dealer conferences as long as they've had them, and it's funny to see Aaron up there bite his tongue a few times because he's speaking publicly and it's being recorded. But it's interesting to see. But these are the things that I saw that Aaron couldn't say. There are too many dealers. If you're a marginal dealer, small, not committed, just doing this as a side hustle, you're probably not going to make it. The market is consolidating. The professional dealers with systems, with marketing, with fleet programs, they're going to win. Everyone else is going to be squeezed out. Another thing that I saw, tariffs and supply chain issues are going to hit the pricing again in 2026. He danced around it, talked about rising energy prices and cost management. But if you think your costs are going to go down, you're wrong. You need pricing power, and you only get pricing power through differentiation and customer relations. You need to have a good story to tell. You need to have good customer relations. That is how you offset pricing. What Aaron couldn't say, also, number 3, battery technology. They're investing heavily because they have to. But it's expensive, it's complicated, and a lot of dealers are going to screw up the installs and create warranty nightmares. My observation is this. If you're going to get into batteries, get really trained on them and don't do them half-ass. Power Alliance Bridge. Let's talk about how it can help you out. Look, everything Aaron talked about, awareness, sophistication, scale, service, it all requires you to level up as a dealer, as a business owner. You can't do this alone in your shop trying to figure things out. That's exactly why we built Power Alliance. We've got dealers that are members who are implementing these strategies right now. They're not waiting for the conference next year to compare notes. They're in monthly calls that we have with our mastermind community, sharing what's working and what's not. In fact, just before the dealer conference, I sent out how to get the best ROI out of the dealer conference. And we also sent out Power Alliance to our members about what to look for in the new co-op program. We did a whole 9-page synopsis on what to look for in the new dealer program. If you listened to Aaron's keynote and thought, that sounds great, but how do I actually do what he's saying in my business? That's the conversation we need to have at Power Alliance. Please check us out at poweralliance.com. In a couple of weeks, I'm bringing on dealers who implemented some specific changes from the conference. You're going to want to hear those stories. So we have some more podcasts coming up that are really going to make a difference. So in closing here, bottom line, this is me talking. 2026 is going to be a big year. There are some big changes that are being made by the administration. A lot of good things are looking that are going to be happening in 26, and you need to be positioned for that. Aaron believes it. I believe it. The question is, are you positioned to take advantage of it? Because the dealers who are ready, who have their marketing detail dialed in, their fleet program built up, their team trained, they're about to have a really good year. The dealers who are sitting back waiting for the phone to ring, they're going to struggle. So pull out the conference notes, listen to Aaron's keynote again if you recorded it, and ask yourself, what needs to change in my business before the weather hits again? I'm Jim Swetman. Thanks again for listening to this podcast. Kind of dragged on a little bit there, but we're here at Power Alliance to make your business more successful and to follow exactly what some of the guidelines that Aaron talked about in his keynote speaker. Thanks again for listening, and have a great afternoon. Thank you for tuning in to the Standby Generator podcast. If you enjoyed the show, don't forget to subscribe, leave a review, and share. For more resources, tips, and to connect with other like-minded professionals, visit us at poweralliance.com or visit our social media pages. Until next time, keep powering up your business.